Mike,
Hey,
Mike
Rene,
Gillespie. This is great.
it
An old
is.
friend.
I
We
know. We go
reconnect
way back,
again.
right?
That's awesome. That's awesome. And we were just talking earlier that we've seen each other. We've crossed paths in the past, and
Yeah,
now we're back talking, which is great. And
I
so
agree.
so what you do is quite amazing because you lead by example.
Yeah. Thanks, man. I'm glad
Yeah,
you
I
noticed.
think I think that's
I
great
do
because
my
there's a
best.
lot there's a lot of people who just talk the talk. No, you
Yeah,
lead by example. You show them, you show people, specifically dads, as you were saying, how
yeah,
to live an epic life.
yeah, exactly. It's been quite the journey.
Well, how did you get started? How did it happen? Share with us your story?
Yeah. Well, I used to work for the government way back in the day. It seems like so long ago. And one of,
CRA? What kind of government? What
yeah, I worked
it
for the
sounds very
Ministry of
secretive.
Transportation.
Government. I know
Yeah,
government.
Ministry of Transportation.
Okay,
So I have
nice.
an IT background. So I went
Yeah,
to school.
yeah.
I went to university, studied business, and then shifted into computer science. And then eventually quit that, went into college, continued on with computer science, and then I had a couple of co-op work terms at the Ministry of Transportation. I
Hmm.
did back-to-back co-op work terms, and then they had a contract waiting for me right out of school, which was
Wow.
awesome.
Neat.
And then while I was on co-op, one of the coworkers there, one of my mentors, he introduced me to a book called Rich Dad Poor Dad, which I'm
Hmm.
a lot of your guests. That's kind of one of the seeds that get planted early on, right?
Yes.
So that I learned a good amount of stuff around kind of business and entrepreneurship, and just thought about debt a little differently. Like debt can be a good thing. So I was a sponge back then, and I read the book, and the guy who introduced me to the book and a couple other people at work, they were investing in real estate. So yeah, long story short, I started buying real estate about 19 years ago now. So I was buying,
Wow. Neat.
yeah.
So how old
So
were you when you started? That must right out of university?
I gotta do the math now. I'm 48 now. So
Okay.
early 30s I
Yeah,
started
yeah, that's
investing
neat
in real
because
estate.
you can like when you start early, you can do a few mistakes and then be fine for long term. We
Yeah,
spoke about this yesterday at Durham REI, of course, and it was
yeah.
about the risks and you can take more risks when you're 20. That's great. That's
Exactly.
great. Well
Yeah,
done.
and you can obviously recover from any mistakes that you make. So, yeah, I started investing. I was buying student rentals out in Niagara,
Yeah.
and and how long ago did you get started? Remind me.
Oh, 2005. Early
Okay.
30s
Yeah, so
and
similar. Yeah.
similar. And it was all about student rentals as well.
Really?
Oh
Yes.
yeah,
I love
because
it.
I was a student at Queens and
Yes.
I saw like it was, I think it was second year university. I rented a place. I had switched from where I was living
Yeah.
and it was like December. No one moves in December. And I gave him, he wanted all 6 months paid out in advance. And that's all I had. And
Yeah.
he gave me, I gave him all my money he had and he went to Thailand. And I was like, wait a sec.
Wait, this is good. I'd like to
There's
do
something
that,
good
buddy.
on this.
Yeah, yeah. So you got in similar time as me. Times were a complete 180 of how they are now. Prices were ridiculously cheaper back then. Banks were lining up to just like hand you money. You didn't have to put much money down. In
Yeah,
fact, my first couple deals, I actually got cash back mortgages. So the bank
that's
gave me the
amazing.
5% and let me keep that.
Yeah.
And then I had a couple zero down deals where it wasn't that, but I just didn't have to put any in. And I literally thought I was missing a row on a spreadsheet. I'm like, am I missing something here? Like you do the math. I was renting rooms for 400 each. I was converting bungalows into 6-bedroom student houses, and I was renting them for about 2,400 bucks. And each property was at least cash flowing like a month or a grand.
Yeah.
Then
So that's why student rentals, the cash flow
yeah,
nicely. Yeah, that was
yeah,
good.
and then I just multiplied that. I just kept doing it, and then eventually things shifted out in Niagara, where the secret got out of the bag,
Okay.
and other people started hearing about it, and also the school started building more purpose-built student rentals.
Hmm.
So the supply there was a lot more supply. So yeah, I ended up shifting into duplexes eventually. So I converted them to duplexes. So yeah, so continuing on with my journey, how I got to where I am right now. So I owned a bunch of houses over the years, and I was at my job. When I started my job, it was awesome. You know, challenges, it was fun. I was meeting new people all the time. So I started in on the help desk. So it's just fixing computer problems. I had different challenges to fix every day. Then my next role was desktop support. So I literally got to walk around the building, fixing people's problems, got to talk to different people all the time. It was great. And then I fell in the trap of, you got to get promoted. That's how you're successful. You make more money, a higher job title. So I started doing that. So I started moving up. So I was, a network administrator, project manager, and the higher I got promoted, I made more money, but I was less happy. I was stuck in a cubicle all day on meetings. I left at the end of the day not overly fulfilled. It didn't really feel like I was making a lot of progress.
Yeah.
Contrast that to when after work, I would go check on the progress of the renos of my houses. And I'm like, okay, like this is cool. I like this. So I turned I would take a crap house that no one wanted. I would buy it at a discount because it was sitting there for a while.
Yeah.
Then I got to get creative, probably similar to what you do. You go in and you make something nice out of it.
Yes.
And now it's in demand and you get to charge a premium for it. So that's when the light bulb went on, where it's like, can I do that?
What was the time frame? Like when you started off at the government and then you got promoted, you're managing, you're in the cubicle all the time. What's your time frame?
Yeah. So I was there for 13 years in total. I was on the service desk and desktop support for probably at least 3 years.
Yep.
And then some positions started opening up, and then I would just kind of follow up with, like the mentor that I mentioned earlier.
Yep.
He got promoted, then I would get his position, and then it would just keep doing that. And him and I, we just kept buying real estate outside of MTO, and we're always talking about it, right? Yeah. And then there was just a point where there was this click of maybe I don't have to do this anymore. And then I'm like, is that possible? Everybody tells me it's so good at the government. Why would I want to leave? Right? Good salary, benefits, pension, vacation, the golden handcuffs, they call it, right?
Of course. Yeah, of course.
So
I was a teacher, and when I quit teaching, they're like, drugs? What is going on? What about pension, benefits, summers off? What are you doing?
Yeah. So I ended up staying there longer. I just discarded those thoughts, partly because people called me crazy, and I'm like, maybe I am crazy. And back then, it wasn't cool to be crazy. Now I like to be called crazy because I'm doing wild things, right?
I like that.
So there was a bit of a lonely period in the transition, and you might have experienced this as well, where your old group of friends and colleagues and family, they don't know they don't understand this other thing that you're trying to do. And that keeps you playing small, right? And then on the flip side, I started to go to real estate groups, right? Similar to you, where we met and, all the other people, right? And you get there and you're like, I don't feel like I belong here. And I don't know how to talk in this space. So I
was just speaking about this yesterday, where what is normal? It's really the group in which we surround ourselves with. We just assume that's normal. And if you're doing 9 to 5 and you're living on the weekends,
right,
that's normal for a lot of people. And getting out of that group,
right,
that makes a big difference.
And that's what I did. I started to go to these different real estate groups. I joined one of the big groups at one point called the Real Estate Investment Network. Yeah, I met a lot of amazing people there. So the more and more you start to go to these things, the more comfortable you start to feel in that environment. Then you start to feel a little less alone. Then you start sharing your thoughts with these people. And instead of them pulling you back and tearing you down, they're giving you high fives and fist bumps, right? It's like, how can I support you? And then it's like, okay, here we go.
There's no fear. There's less fear.
there's less fear
There's less
because
fear. You're
people,
encouraged to expand, reach your potential, and
yeah,
do deals and try things out new.
right,
Yeah.
collaboration. These people might be a few steps ahead of you, so they're more likely to kind of help you along the way and like
Mhm.
encourage you.
You get the support.
So exactly. Yeah. So that's when I'm like, well, maybe there's something here. Maybe I can do this. Right. I'm like, okay, like what would I like to do? Like I didn't really know.
Mm.
So what I did know was I was busy because I had the full-time job, I was married, two young kids,
Oh yeah.
managing all these properties and doing like other side businesses as well. Right. So I'm like, I can't do all this.
Yeah.
So I needed time. So I decided to ask for a unpaid leave of absence from my
Wow.
employer,
Neat,
right?
neat.
Just to explore,
Yeah.
right? And they said, yeah, sure, go ahead.
Government.
So
I love government for that. That's amazing.
yeah, and it's good, right? So I started exploring again, like I didn't know what I wanted to do. So I just started doing things that were interesting to me, right? I started making a list and I worked with my handyman for a little bit. Him and I, like, we get along, we joke with each other. I was cutting grass, right? So I was doing that for a little bit. And then I thought, what else? What else do I like to do? So I'm like, I know real estate investing and I like to help people.
Yeah.
So I started doing real estate business coaching,
Cool.
helping mortgage brokers, real estate agents, investors, um, be a little bit more efficient with their work and enjoy their work and help them along with their goals and their health. Like, damn, this is good, right? So I was doing one-on-one coaching, group coaching. I was getting in-person experiences, which I really, really enjoy doing. So the year was up. I go back to my employer. I'm like, hey, can I have another year off? And they said, yeah, if you want. So I took another year off, and then
Did
my
someone take your
coaching.
position? Like what's going on? Like,
Yeah, well, they bring in, they'll promote someone else into that position, give them like a 6-month contract,
okay.
right? And then extend the 6 months
Yeah.
to cover my year. That's how they do it. Yeah. So that's when my coaching event like evolved a little bit more. And at the time, like I was going through a transformation with my health, and just balance was a very, very big thing to me because I lacked balance before. And it was just, let's make money, let's build the empire, let's change the
Yes.
world.
Yes.
And then one of my coaches, they're like, hey, like slow down a bit here. Like, let's bring this in balance a little bit. So I started putting a little bit more effort into a more holistic approach to living life. And I applied it myself. I was getting happier. So my coaching evolved around from real estate business to more life coaching, more lifestyle coaching.
Oh, yes.
Yes. And that's when Epic Living was born.
That's awesome.
So, yeah. So that's a lifestyle business that I operate now. And I went back for things were going great. My coaching has evolved into this now. I go back to my employer. And it was good to have that safety net there of just in case this didn't work out, it's there if I wanted to go there. So I didn't quite burn the bridges until I had things set up. Right?
It's a leap. It's a leap for a lot of people.
It is.
And that leap is like jumping off a cliff. And so having that safety net, I think there's nothing wrong with that. It's needed in order to.
And if you have the option to do that, I highly encourage that. Like you'll hear some people like, oh, if you're not happy, then just quit your job. Sometimes, yeah, maybe that's good. But oftentimes, like when you're having the extra stresses of not being able to pay your bills or knowing where your next paycheck's coming from, it's scary. So, if you're able to do an unpaid leave of absence and have the safety net, or maybe you scale down your work hours from 50 hours a week to 35.
Gradual. I like that.
Yeah.
Gradual rather than a big harsh.
Exactly.
360. There's no need. Gradual is perfectly fine.
Yeah. So I went back to the employer, asked for a 3rd year leave of absence. They
did they get the message after a while?
They're like, dude, like you got to figure out what you have to decide. You're gonna work here, you're gonna go do that stuff. So it was at that point where I burned the boat and I quit the job. I quit the government job. Awesome. Yeah. So
well done.
That's kind of a long.
How long was that? That's been awarded.
That's been about 9 years ago.
Awesome. Congratulations.
So I have a calendar entry in my appointment on the anniversary of me quitting my job. And one thing I'm really glad I did was on my last day, I did a recording of me walking out of the building for my last day on the job, right? And it was like, okay, now my new life starts, and I'm inviting this and this and this. And it's so cool to kind of look back on that video now. It's like, yeah, I haven't created everything that I said in that video, but the progress that I'm making, I'm like, yeah, this is cool. Like I created
That's amazing. So when you say you created, like what did you do in order to create the life that you wanted? Because a lot of people, like quitting the job, letting it go, but then it's a void. You got to start creating some kind of a structure, some vision. You don't want to get any bad habits.
I'm sure you've experienced this a little bit for yourself as well. But a lot of us, we talk about, I want freedom. I want time freedom. I want financial freedom. Like we say that, but we don't often know what that means. So I worked at the government for 13 years. So for 13 years straight, I was getting up at this time, I was eating my breakfast, I'm getting into work. I'm there for that amount of time, like the routine, right? And now all of a sudden leave of absence rolls around. It's like, oh shit, like I have this day to do
2
stuff
months
with.
in, do you even get dressed? Are you in pajamas the whole day?
Right? Yeah. So you got to like kind of start to figure out what your new norm was. And I'll be honest, like it just didn't happen like on day one.
Of course.
It takes you a little bit to kind of get used to it. Right. So like I said, I started to really focus a lot more on my health as well. So there was a good portion of time that was spent towards that. Like in my opinion, the health is one of the ultimate game changers of all of it. Like if we talk about life balance, that's one piece of the pie, but that's one piece that feeds every other pieces. You bugger that up, you're going to bugger up everything else.
As I say occasionally, there's no wealth without health.
Yeah,
if you're overlooking your health, how can you have any type of health?
And when we first get started in this journey, we're just giving it. We're go. You're up till 2 a.m. You're doing all this, and you might be able to do that for a period of time because you're younger, right? But I started to realize the importance of rest and relaxation and meditation and breath work and
you speak my language,
going
brother.
for walks
you speak
in
my language.
nature.
Yes.
Right. So back then it was all about noise for me. It's just constant, like taking in information, taking it in. You got the podcast, you got the books you're reading. It's just bringing all more in. Then there's just this trigger that just kind of hit me where it's like, you know what? Like I already know a lot of shit, right? Wouldn't it be cool if I just applied the shit that I learned from the books and the podcasts and the workshops?
That's a lovely way of saying it. Yeah. Just apply the shit.
Yeah, like how about like slow down and think a bit, right? I'd always be tuned into the radio or podcasts, and now I'm a little bit more grounded and calm and enjoying nature more and like actually hearing the sounds of trees and like it's different. Like it's a constant journey, but I'm really enjoying quieter periods of time, right? So
well put.
Yeah, exactly. So it took some time to get used to the schedule a little bit, but I have it pretty nailed down pretty good now.
Nice. So how is it you help others? You mentioned about how you enjoyed helping others. How do you help others?
Yeah, so like I said, so I started as a real estate business coach.
Yep.
So those were the types of people that I was helping initially, and then that transitioned more into anyone that could really work towards
like life coach.
Yeah.
And what kind of problems, like what kind of clients or you mostly work with guys, I imagine.
Yeah. So it's been their challenges and struggles.
Yep.
And it's really cool to be able to share and connect and help each other a lot of the people that I work with are executives, entrepreneurs, business owners, people that have already kind of started down the journey of personal growth.
Yep.
And a lot of the people I work with, like, we're busy. Like, we have a lot on the go. We're either working the full-time job, then we're trying to juggle the kids. We're trying to figure out our health stuff. And I work with dads to, well, one thing is that we get so busy that we forget what we actually want, right? Sometimes when I'm at events, you know, like people are like, oh, you know, how are you doing? What are you working on? It's just always the default to, you know, well, what do you do for work, right? One of my questions is like, what do you like to do for fun, right?
Yeah.
We forget what fun is, and I did for the longest time, and I'm just, I just like being a dork and just laughing and helping other people just have a good laugh. Like, it's good for us. Just get out and go do the fun shit. So let me share real quick on the real estate front. So we join these groups, and sometimes some of the exercises are, you know, what do you want real estate? What do you want to do it all for? Like, what's your why, right? So a lot of people are like, well, we want freedom, right? And then you start to dig down, like, what does freedom mean to you?
Yeah.
So eventually, like, I got to a point where I bought like 13 properties.
Yeah.
I had all the businesses and all these things on the side. I'm like, this is not getting me any closer to my goals. One of my big goals was, so I want to free up some more time so I can spend time with my kids.
Of course.
The more and more I bought these houses, it got me further away from that goal. So it was just like, whoa. So then I just stopped buying properties. And then I started to, like, I took a break from my job. So obviously that cut into my cash flow. But it started to balloon out other areas of my life, right? So my finances came, and I referenced the life balance wheel, right?
Oh, yeah.
So
Yes.
you may or may not have heard of that.
Yes. That is it. Yes.
Yeah,
That's a good reference.
It's got like 8 pieces of the pie, and they're all different life areas. So my finances were always at a 9 because I always had money coming in from work and real estate and everything. But I noticed over time, some of the other life areas started to cave in. My work, my relationships, my health, right? Because I started liking my work less and less. When I started taking a break from my job, I took those leave of absence, my finances came down from a 9, but all the other things started to balloon out like this. And then eventually everything started to become more round. I wasn't at 10s across the board, but, you know, some things were at an 8, a 6 now. They're
more balanced.
Right? So, you know, if you think about it as like a wheel like this, right? I actually didn't in this, but when things are more round, your life just rolls along better.
Yeah.
When you have like an 8 or a 2, like I just describe it as,
what
like
is that? A CD?
This is a record. So I was at a record store. I was at a record store with my daughter.
I'm kidding.
And she saw this on the wall, Epic. Right?
That's cool. That's really cool.
So I had my Epic Living hat on, and the guy's like, take it, take it. And I kind of
have it. It's an LP. Yeah, it's a cute LP. Yeah, that's awesome. You don't see that too often.
I know, old school. Yeah. So how I help people is I help slow people down. I help them get, I'm really big on awareness. You know,
yes.
How did you get here? Where are you now? And what do you want? Right? There's deeper questions that go with that, but your past is, you do things in the present because of what happened in your past. So understanding some of that stuff back then helps you make different decisions now. And also understanding where you want to get to, and you start to kind of create kind of like a plan of action, and not just what you want. After the what is the why, not the how. The how is what clobbers most of us. We think about, wow, I can't do that. How do I do that? How do you create a podcast?
We'll figure it out. You know, it comes down to just figuring it out.
Yeah, people get all overwhelmed with everything, right?
Yeah.
Come back to the how, right?
Well, what are the most common problems you see with dads in particular about their life? Is it the balance? Is it relationships, or is it the past that harbors them? Or?
So it's a mix, but a lot of the common grounds are busy. The majority of everybody is just so busy. right?
No,
Like
wait. So no time for when they say busy, no time for what? Like no time
no
for
time
family
for
or children?
the actual the important things, what they're working towards.
Yes.
So
Okay.
like I said in my journey, I just was on the hamster wheel. Go, go, go,
Yeah.
go. Let's build the empire. Let's
Yeah.
have 50 properties
Yeah.
because all these people
Yeah.
want 50 properties, right? We're following other people's versions of success.
hmm
What you have to do, one of the most important things, is to create your own definition of
Oh, I
success.
love it. Yes.
Right? This person's definition was 50, which they
Yeah.
probably got from the person next to them. You know what?
Yeah.
13 was cool for me. That was
Yeah.
kind of my cap.
Yeah.
And maybe at some point I'll come back and buy
And as
100
I get
later.
older, the idea of more is better. I don't really quite believe it. I mean, you can get a lot. I mean, even with, say, for example, 5 properties. Let's there's a student rentals. That's it could be $1,000 a piece. I mean, it depends on how it's structured. I've heard of people growing, and then they cut it down to
Yeah.
something a bit more manageable,
Yeah.
and then the cash flow increases, and then they don't necessarily need 20 to live. They can live off those
Exactly.
5 or 6.
Yeah. So oftentimes people are just too busy to actually like figure out the things that they enjoy doing. Like when I came back to that whole, what do you like to do for fun?
Yeah.
Right? Like most people actually don't know an answer to that.
Really?
Right? Yeah. Yeah. It's interesting because it's been so long since they've done some of the fun things that they like. Right. So I help slow people down. I help them with awareness, and I help them with those questions.
How do you
So
help with the
oftentimes,
awareness? Like how does one increase awareness with others? That's a
questions.
challenging one.
Yeah. So just questions, and
Questions.
not just asking questions, but good questions, but also being present and taking your time with those questions. So I remember back in the day, I had a coach. He would give me some of these power questions, right? And I would just try to rush through them because I'm busy. I have all this shit to do. So I remember I wrote down some of these questions, and then I went to a Tim Hortons, and I'm answering the questions like quick. I would just go to the next question, right? I had all these distractions around me, people, noise, all these things. So what I encourage people to do is to take the questions and create some space, right? If you're trying to answer these questions and you're in a busy household, your kids are coming in all the time, it's not going to be as good as maybe you grab your journal book and maybe go for a walk in nature. I get it. This feels foreign to most people, and it did for me, but eventually it starts to become a little bit more normal. So you got to look for quiet. You have to minimize distractions, and you have to be patient with answering the questions. Don't just spend the 45 seconds and write a couple things.
45 seconds, yeah.
Write the 45 seconds and then be okay to just sit and think. We don't have enough thinking anymore. It's just go, 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 do all the time, right?
We're in a big rush for
So I'm all about like awareness and reflection and figuring out what you want and accountability towards goals. And then eventually you make progress. And then the reflection, every week or every month or every year or all of those, it helps you learn what's worked, what's important to you. Are you progressing towards a better life balance or less of a life balance? It's gold, dude. Like that life balance exercise was shared to me by a business coach. I went all the way to Maui. This where I met my business coach.
Your business coach was in Maui. That's cool.
Yeah. So early on in my life coaching journey, she was helping me build my online programs. And I remember it's so crazy. Like this was like probably at least 14 years ago. There was one night where we were sitting around the fire. She gave me this life balance exercise.
And it was new. It was new. It was new to you.
Brand new to me. Okay. Yeah. And I mean, you see different variations of it around all the time, but we sat around this fire. I did it. I discarded it because I'm like, I'm here for business coaching. I'm paying a lot of money. I came all the way up here.
That's funny.
What's this crap you're sharing with me? So then I eventually came home, and then I put it on a bookshelf up here.
Oh, okay.
I used to have a lot more books at the time. And I just remember it got filed in the pile of all my papers. And fast forward, probably like 4 years later, I'm cleaning the bookshelf. I happen to pull out the life balance wheel. I look at it, I'm like, holy shit, like look where I was back then. Huh, that's cool. Like, I wonder where I'm at now. Long story short, I do that exercise every quarter now.
Neat.
To show whether I'm progressing in certain areas.
Yep.
And then if some areas are lower, that allows me to now shine the spotlight on that life area, take a little bit of my time and attention from maybe this life area and bring it back here. Because I know if you're redlining in any of those life areas for a long period of time, it's like a car, you're going to burn out.
There's
in
a sickness.
some life areas, like relationships,
yep,
health, those are the massive ones. Those ones really tear down a lot of the other ones. And for me, one of my biggest aha moments of my entire life, my coach mentioned this: you're at your work the majority of your awake time, right? And that just, like that hit me, because I thought I was super happy, right? I'm a happy guy. Look at me, I'm smiling all the time.
Yeah.
But I'm going somewhere for at least 8 or 9 hours a day, and I'm doing things that don't make me happy, right? So your work is very important for you to find meaningful work. And it's not always easy to transition out of something, but it doesn't mean you don't try. Just like you said earlier with the podcast, just take the next step. Just do what you need to do next, right?
Where do you find most people's obstacles are? What's holding people back? Is it always fear that, is it just transmuted or manifested differently, but it all comes down to fear of the unknown? Or how do you see
fear is a big one, right? And your community that you hang around can either like lift you up or drag you back, right? So these groups that we're part of, like, the fear will always be there, but we just manage the fear differently over the years.
Well put.
So again, some of these exercises that I take people through is I ask questions, right? And it helps uncover little nuggets, and then it helps like trigger something in them. It's like, oh yeah, I remember my mom said this, and now I do this. So there's all of these hidden unconscious things that are going on that are in this little area of our brain. They're just like folders, and our brain is just referencing them. And then when a situation comes up in present, we don't even know that we're taking an action this way. So by doing these check-ins, doing the helps you to uncover things. So
it's amazing. Just with a few questions. I love that. It's like Socratic questions, constantly asking deeper. One question answers another question and then goes deeper and deeper. And
it's giving yourself the time and the space to answer the questions, because this is my challenge, is to slow the dads down. We're going, we're running, let's build this, let's do that, right? It's just like, okay, like, let's take a deep breath. And like, let's just hold them for a bit, hold them still for a bit. And then we work through some of these
we
things.
need more people like you who ask questions, deep questions, to get people to take action, to move, to kind of stir things inside. That's amazing.
I'm all about just reminding people of their why, reminding people of what's fun, right? Like, are we in this world to just work for 40 years and just there's a way to enjoy the journey more.
The fun for me is, just to answer your question, I find fun just speaking with you. I mean, just talking to fascinating individuals who have a different mindset, who are living to their potential and are doing things that they're living their best epic life. If I can take that away, if I can take that, use that word, epic life. That's amazing. It's exhilarating to hear you speak about it and the effects that you have on others as well. Do you have an event coming up as well?
So I've been starting to do more in-person events, in-person experiences. I love the in-person stuff. So I've been to retreats and workshops and things in the past, and I kind of pick and choose like things that were most valuable to me.
Mhm.
And you can learn from people on the stage, but the most important thing is community and in having fun and taking what was just taught there and
Yeah.
coming together, and maybe you're collaborating and like, oh, I heard this, and how can that kind of be put in here. So a lot of my events that I host now, there's it's a mix of sharing knowledge among
Mhm.
the dads. There's a mix of fun. There's always some sort of activities in there, because a lot of us don't get to do those things. And oftentimes a lot of people are too busy to think about those things, let alone like go book it and actually
Yeah.
go do it.
It's a whole
Right.
new realm altogether.
Yeah. Yeah. And then there's usually something in regards to health, healthy living, like maybe it's breath work, maybe it's meditation,
Hmm.
maybe we're hiking in a park, bike rides, climbing mountains.
Sounds like fun.
Yeah, so I have one coming up in a little more than a week now, and
Mhm.
I'm going to be seeing you
Yeah,
there,
yeah,
which
I'm
is
joining for sure.
exciting to meet in person. So yeah, this I'm looking to get more into doing the multi-day experiences. So this is my first multi-day in a little bit, and eventually this is going to lead into multi-day retreats
Hmm.
where we're off in Costa Rica for 7 days, climbing mountains and visiting blue zones
Awesome.
and enjoying the food. And so yeah, I love the in-person stuff.
Yeah, yeah, it makes a big difference. I've got one
Yeah.
question for you, Mike. You give so much to the community, to the group. What do you get out of it? Like how has your life changed by helping others question their behavior or their habits or their life? Like, how have you
Yeah.
grown from doing this type of work?
Well, I'll tell you, it feels good. That's the simple answer.
That's simple. That's simple.
Uh, Fulfillment, it brings me fulfillment. And I actually just
Mm,
posted about this the other day. Like, there are times where, you're trucking along, you're like, is this even making a difference? And, it is, but sometimes like you're not getting like the messaging back. And then, sometimes you get a message of like, dude, like, thank you. Like,
yeah.
you really helped me go from this to this. And here's how I'm feeling now.
Because I
So
can imagine that a few people aren't as thrilled sometimes to answer some of those questions. It's growth sometimes is uncomfortable.
exactly. Yeah, and it does make people uncomfortable. And I encourage people to sit in that discomfort,
Yes.
because there are other things that are also uncomfortable. Most people aren't comfortable getting out of bed at 7 in the morning on a Monday and go doing unfulfilling work for all day and then come home.
Hmm.
So you choose your difficulty, you choose to be uncomfortable, you choose your hard,
Well
right?
put. Well put.
But fulfillment is one thing that doesn't get shared often enough early on in our entrepreneurial journey. And Tony Robbins, one of his quotes are, success without fulfillment is the ultimate failure. And I
Hmm.
didn't get that right away when he shared it with me many, many years ago. And things click in later sometimes. Sometimes these seeds get planted and they don't get watered over the years. And eventually someone just says something and it just triggers that folder up here in the brain, right? And it's just like that life balance exercise, right? Like I pulled it out and it's like, huh, right? And that just totally changed the whole
Hmm.
trajectory of where I'm going. But I get fulfillment helping people along the way, helping seeing the progress that they make. Because I went down a journey,
Hmm.
somebody helped me on that journey.
Hmm.
Like quitting your job, doing fulfilling work, right? That energizes me. When I get on calls with people like you and other people that are part of my programs, I have more energy at the end of the day because it
Yeah,
fills my energy tank, my happiness
that's
tank.
awesome.
Whereas when you're doing the work that like you, I can tell like you're just beaming. You love to do this,
I do.
right?
I
I can
do.
tell that.
Yeah, yeah. I
It's
really
really
enjoy
cool.
talking to interesting people that, like I said, they're making a difference in the world, but also fulfilling their life purpose in a way.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just exhilarating. I just very much enjoy it.
Yeah. And you get to share that with your audience, which is remarkable.
Yeah. It's a pleasure. It's a really pleasure. So the event is when? When is the event?
The event is next Friday. So Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. It's going to be in Toronto. It's
You're
open to
having these
dads.
events on a regular basis. So if someone misses out,
we're going to probably do events probably monthly. Like I said, for now, they're going to be local ish to where I am.
Of course.
So I'm in Ontario. I'm near Niagara Falls. I have tons of ideas and just fun things that we can do. And it's just all about community and growing together. And when you're breaking bread with people, like when you're doing things together, it deepens the bond with people. And oftentimes dads, like we feel like we need to do it all ourselves. And I'm letting you know and your audience know, and it's not just dads, like you do this with a community and you get to go so much further, right? And having the support of people along the way, like it just lifts you up. It lifts everything up.
Yeah, the support is so important. It's overlooked often. The support is needed in order to be on any type of journey.
We struggle in silence.
Yes.
Dads, like, like suppress your emotions, like just go, just keep going, just sweep it under the rug.
Yeah.
I encourage people, you don't have to, because when you sweep things under the rug, it gets pretty
it builds up.
It gets be a big pile under there. And eventually, like, that's not going away. Eventually it's going to be exposed. It's like, oh my God. Right. So,
so where can people find you to join your community, learn more about some of the events that you're running?
Yeah. So the community of dads, you can find that on, it's called powerdadchallenge.com.
Okay.
So that's basically, there's a program there that people can go through. A lot of these questions that I was talking about around like clarity and awareness, you'll find that in it's an online academy. And I also share awesome tips around optimizing time and energy and just helping the busy dads work on the right things. And I give a lot of pointers around on the energy front, just little hacks.
Do they have to be very busy, or is it like what kind of?
No, they don't have to be very busy. No. It's just it's basically for dads that want to get more out of life, that want to impact more people, that want more fun, freedom, fulfillment, spend more time with the kids. And then there's a community component as well, where you get connection with all of the other dads. We learn from each other. There's knowledge shares. There's accountability. There's the support. So I'm super excited to
That's awesome. I think that's amazing. We need more people like you, Mike. That's awesome.
Oh, appreciate you, man.
So
you too.
So I look forward to your event. I'll be checking it out, and I'm sure the future events as well. And for those interested, look more into the website you mentioned, and we'll hope to see dads and guys get connected. I think that's very important.
Yeah. So that's for dads, and then the other website that I have, I'm building an online academy called Epic Living Academy.
Nice.
Nice.
Well, thank you very much for taking the time to share your knowledge and experience. Thank you.
Thanks for having me on.
You're welcome. Bye-bye.
See you, man. Bye-bye.